Hey everyone, this is Philip with TDR Auto. Today we're going to be doing spark plugs. My Subaru Forester has around 67,000 miles. Most platinum and iridium spark plugs today have a lifetime about 100,000 miles. But we'll see. We're going to take them out and see how they look like, if they really need to be changed. Probably going to change them anyway because I already have them. These Subaru Forester spark plugs, it's 14mm socket, so it's a lot smaller. So that's one thing to know, that you're gonna need a special socket for that. Then you're gonna need a 3/8 ratchet. I always use dielectric grease on the electrode. Put a little bit at the end here. Next we're gonna need screwdriver, flathead screwdriver or 8mm socket, and 1/4-inch ratchet with a 10mm socket. Let's get to it. Alright, I'm gonna press at the end and connector comes off. So this little part needs to be pressed, and that lifts the tab up so you can be slided off now. A 10mm mounting bolt for the ignition coil. Yeah, the space is a little bit tight, but it's doable. I think it would help if I had a long, 1/4-inch long 10mm socket. But I got it with a short one too. The coil should easily slide out. You might need to fight the seal a little bit, but it comes off eventually. And here we go, ignition coil out. Now I'm gonna use that 14mm socket and the extension. Yep, it does go in, so that's good. Like this. Now we can put 3/8 ratchet in there. Okay, now I can do it by hand. It's kind of a long thread. Just it takes a little while. Alright, spark plugs out. I see I got a little bit of oil in there. So it looks like I'm gonna need a new valve cover gasket with the spark plug tube seals. The spark plug still has quite a bit life left, so I could easily go 80,000-90,000 miles. It still has the same gap, just the discoloration is a little different, which that's to be expected after 60,000 miles, but there's no wear whatsoever. But because I had a little bit of oil around here, that tells me the tube seals for spark plugs are starting to leak oil. So yeah, I think the best way to do it is do these spark plugs around 70,000 miles and replace the tube seals so that it's going to be nice and dry, so that the spark plug's not going to be sitting in the oil. Alright, so now it's time for dielectric grease. Just a little bit, so it doesn't get on the porcelain there. Just the steel part. That will prevent any corrosion, and it just will make a better contact. Before you put the spark plugs in, I always check the gap between the electrodes. All right, so I want to make sure the gap is about the same on all spark plugs. You don't want the gap to be bigger, smaller. I mean, it is set from the factory, because these NGK iridiums, it's exactly the same part number as the one I took out. You see, it's SILZKAR7B11. So this is the original equipment. So you can compare the gap between these two and make sure, you know, the gap is same. Time to put the new spark plug in. Probably for the maybe for the other one I might need to put the spark plug in there without the extension, and once it's kind of in there I can probably put the extension. So yeah, I always try to put the spark plug in by hand. So just tighten it by hand. Okay, that's as much as it goes by hand. So now I'm gonna put the ratchet on. And just do about half a turn. Okay. Yeah, you don't want to over torque it, but then you don't want to keep it loose. Okay, beautiful. I'll make sure the rubber is still in there. Yep. Sometimes it stays on the spark plug, and then you have to take the spark plug off again. Now we put the coil back in. The screw back in. Yeah, you want to be very careful not to drop the screw, and you spend some time looking for a bolt underneath the car. Alright, now I'm doing the second one. Now you can see on the second one I don't have any oil there, so it's just that one. It was just a little bit, so I'm gonna leave it as is for now. Now it helps if the extension that you have has a wobble. You see, the extension doesn't have a straight end. It does have the wobble in there, and that allows the socket to move. You can see that allows the socket to move slightly offset, which is great. That helps over here. I can just slide it in because it's got a little offset. It goes nicely in there. If you have some kind of thicker ratchet than this, then you might have a hard time getting that tool to work on this application. Got it loose. Okay, now it goes easy, so now it's gonna go by hand. I'm gonna take it off before, there we go, and work it out by hand. Yeah, those spark plugs have a long thread. It takes a while. Okay, that's it. Okay, this spark plug looks same as the first one, so that's a good sign. Yeah, if you would have like if it would be all white or all black, then you have some kind of problem. White is usually that it might be burning a little bit of coolant, antifreeze. When it's black, then you're running a little rich. Alright, put the new one in. Yeah, like now when it doesn't go in very straight, I might need to disconnect it and just put the socket with the spark plug in first, like so, and now the extension later. Like that. Now I'm gonna start it with by hand first. It should go easy by hand. If it doesn't, then something's wrong. the thread is might be dirty. Maybe it would be a good idea to blow it with a compressed air. Also, one more reason to check the gap for the spark plug before you put the new one in is during the shipping, the spark plug can drop on the floor and hit on the electrode, and the electrode can get closed. And then if you don't check it, you just put it in, you're gonna have a misfire because you're not gonna have any spark jumping across the terminals or electrodes. So I can't do it by hand anymore, so now I'm gonna put a ratchet. Okay, now it still goes easy, so this doesn't count for health. Now I feel a little resistance, so just where you feel a little bit of resistance, now you want to do half a turn. So I got about a quarter of a turn, so one more quarter of a turn, and that should be pretty tight. Okay, maybe give it a few more teeth. There, and that's it. All right. Now put the coil back in. Okay, we're gonna take the battery off for the other side. So we got more room to slide our hands to remove the ignition coils. So it's 10 millimeters there. Take the bracket off. It's just oxidizing too much. And now we got plenty of room I mean, the space is a little limited. Let's see if I can reach my hand down there. Yep. Now press. Okay, the other one is a little more tricky. You need to have strong fingers. Probably need to play a guitar, so you got strong fingers. Yeah, I'll pull the coil again together with the wire, and now I got the coil out and I can press that tab and slide it out. Good. Okay, this one doesn't go in there, so I gotta put this piece in first. Now that I got this piece in, I'm gonna put the extension and push in. Okay, it's in. I'm gonna use, instead of this one that I always use for spark plugs, because it's such a cramped area, so I'm gonna use this longer 3/8 ratchet. And the idea with that is that I'll be able to go more straight, and I should not break the porcelain on the spark plug. You can still hear a cracking noise. Yeah, you really cannot fit anything thicker than this Craftsman ratchet. Anything thicker than that, I don't think you'll be able to do it. Yeah, be careful not to go with your ratchet for too long, because then your clearance will become almost non-existent and you won't be able to take your ratchet out. Then you basically need to start tightening it again until the point so you can take the ratchet out, or maybe get a shorter extension. There's really not much space between that frame and my extension. No, I think that extension is too long now. Okay. Wow, so there's even less space than on the right side that we did. So somehow I need to pull the extension out. Yeah, I got my finger on the socket and now just push on the extension. Okay, I got the extension out. Now carefully pull the socket out together with the spark plug. There. All right, so yeah, this cylinder was a little more tricky, but it's still doable. So again, I make sure it has a nice gap, like the original spark plugs. Yeah, they're good. See, this material, that iridium or platinum, they basically don't wear out like the copper spark plugs, like the cheaper old style spark plugs. They wear out over time, but these, they don't really wear out. They remain their gap pretty much throughout their lifetime. If we had the spark plugs, let's say on older style engines, on let's say a Chevy or Ford or any of those V8s, V6, that the spark plug sits between the exhaust manifolds, then I would use anti-seize on the threads. But because the spark plug sits inside the cylinder head, there's really no water or rust will get to the threads at all. So we don't need to use any loop on the threads. Right, so same thing. Put the spark plug in. Okay, there. Now the extension. Yeah, it would be nice to have even shorter extension than this. It would have to be a little shorter, which might be hard to find. At work I got one that's like really short, like stubby. So maybe one or two of those, that would be right over here, and that would be perfect for this application. And I know they're selling spark plug sockets that have a swivel built into them, so that would probably work really good on this engine. Okay, I spin it a couple times so the spark plug moved more inside, because I catched a few threads already. And now I got more room to slide the extension into the socket. Okay, I think that's it. So again, I'm looking for the point where I start feeling a little resistance. Now, when I start feeling resistance, now it's 180 degrees. So I got 90 and another 90, and it still goes kind of smooth and easy, so I'm gonna do a little bit more and stop there. Good. I'm gonna slide that extension out. Okay, now because the spark plug's not there, it comes off. Just put the battery in and fire it up. Okay, and always disconnect the negative terminal first, then positive. When you put it back in, put the positive terminal first. Some computers may not like when you putting back the positive as the last one, right? So I'm gonna put a negative as the last one. All right. See, something to do with these sparks. Might be a kind of big shock for all the computers that are in today's cars. We all set.